Good afternoon, Damas. Today we're going to be making spaghetti bolognese. I'll be showing you how to make the sauce and how to boil the pasta as well. So firstly, I have boiled my kettle and I will be placing that into my saucepan, making sure my handle is out. Okay. Right, brilliant. And now I'm going to put the heat on. Excellent, there we go. And I'll be placing some salt in my water for flavour. Also a little bit of oil so the pasta doesn't stick together. I'm going to give that a few moments for it to start boiling before I put the pasta in. And it's already started boiling because the water has been kettle boiled. Okay. I've got my ready-made pasta. Okay. I'll take a handful of that. That should be enough for 2 people, potentially even 3 people. I'm going to, not a lot of people break their pasta, but I'm going to break my pasta so it all goes in one pan. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to leave that on the side for that to boil and cook. Okay, for a few minutes, maybe 6 to 7 minutes. Now I have all of my ingredients ready here. So I've got my chopped onions, I've got my diced peppers, I've got my minced garlic, which I done by hand, some sweet corn, some minced meat, tin of tomatoes, and all of my seasoning. So, firstly, I'm going to start with heating my pan. Okay. You don't want to overheat your pan because it's going to burn your food. You want to make sure that the pan is nice and hot before you start cooking, but not overheated. So someone has to be concentrating on this at all times if you're working in groups, okay? So I'm going to put about 1.5 tablespoons of oil into my pan. If I need more, I can use it. Now my pan is a non-stick pan, which is good, so nothing sticks on our food, okay, when we're cooking. Right, my pan is heated up quite quickly, because I can see the oil moves around quite quickly around the pan as well, okay? There we go. I'm going to put the temperature down a little bit. Okay, and the first thing I'm going to start with is my onions, okay? So, here goes my onions. With my wooden spoon, I want to use a wooden spoon because I don't want to ruin my non-stick pan. And my bowl goes straight into my sink, ready for washing. Okay. Giving that a gentle stir. Making sure that all of the oil is coated in the onions. This is a very basic tomato sauce, so you can use this for a lot of ingredients, recipes should I say, when you're cooking. But this one is very specific to making spaghetti bolognese. Okay. These onions do not take long to cook because we haven't put them in the machine. I've diced them by hand. When you dice onions by hand, less water comes out of them and they will cook quicker, okay? There's always an advantage to when you're dicing things by hand or when you're using a machine. Okay. I'm going to let that just get a little bit of colour. We'll put the temperature high a little bit. We can control our temperatures quite well on our cookers that we have here, okay? So if you think it's too high, put it down a little bit. If you think it's too slow, we can put it up a little bit, okay? Right, excellent. Just taking my onions off. Holding my pan while I'm doing this. I'm just sauteing them so they soften nicely, okay? I don't want to burn them, I don't want to give them too much colour. There you go. Okay. If anyone has any questions, please do let me know. Make sure you are spreading your onions out into your pan when you are cooking, okay? Because it helps them cook quicker. So my wooden spoon, I don't really want to leave here because it's going to get heated quickly. At the moment, I'm going to place it there on my chopping board. Normally, if you take a little bit of tissue, you're making sure the tissue is not left by the fire due to health and safety. We're going to put the tissue there and we're going to put our spoon on there, okay? Now it looks like my onions are ready and they're getting a nice brown colour. Okay, I don't want to overcook them, because when onions overcook they get a bitter taste as well, and that's what we don't want. I'm going to place the temperature down a little bit. In the meantime, I'm just going to check that my pasta is doing okay. I can use my spoon to just stir the pasta, okay? Making sure it's not sticking, making sure it's cooking efficiently. Making sure it's cooking efficiently, okay? Right, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to place my garlic into my pan. Alright? So let that, just mix that up quickly, and then I'm going to put my peppers in. Right, there we go. This can go straight into the sink. Brilliant. Giving that a nice stir. Excellent. Brilliant. Alright, here we go. I'm going to put the temperature up a little bit, because the temperature dropped quite considerably, and I want the temperature to be nice and steady, okay, and which I can control. Now, at this stage, I'm not going to cook the peppers too much. I am going to place my minced meat, okay? When you are cooking your spaghetti bolognese, please do consider whether you are using a halal minced meat, if there is someone in your group who has dietary requirements. If they are vegetarian, you might want to consider using corn mince, okay? Or you can use chicken mince, whichever one you prefer. Just going to I'm going to put the temperature up a little bit more and wait for the meat to cook now. Now this part might take a little bit long, okay? So that's fine, we've got time. And you'll smell the aromas as you're cooking, of the onion, the garlic, the mince, same time. Okay. Okay, I'm going to place it there, and I'm now going to take another spoon to mix my pasta, because this has got meat on it. Yes.
Did you season it?
I'm going to season it now, okay? You can season your meat beforehand, but I will season it in the pan, yeah? And we like to season it well as well, so it gives it nice flavour, okay? Just checking on the pasta, putting the spoon down there. Okay, while my meat is sizzling away there nicely, I'm ready to season, okay? I have got a vegetable stock cube here, okay? You can bring whichever flavour stock cube you like when you are cooking. It comes in a cube form, so we can place that in the bin, and then we will crumble it onto our food. There is a variety of ways you can make spaghetti bolognese, but I will show you this method using the pasta water as well, for starch will help with the thickening of the sauce, okay? Okay, mix that one in quickly. Giving the mince a stir as well at the same time. Okay. Now the mixed herb. I've got 1 tablespoon here. I'm going to use 2 tablespoons for some flavour. I have got some everyday seasoning. I've got a 1/4 teaspoon. I'm going to put, now this everyday seasoning does have added salt in there, so when you are adding your salt, we must be careful when adding the salt, okay? I've got some chili powder for flavouring. Okay, not too much, because you can add more if you want to. You don't have to add chili powder at all. I've got pepper. I'm going to put a 1/4 teaspoon on. Salt. Again, salt I'm going to use 1/4 teaspoon, because we already have the salt in the water that we're going to use for the pasta and on our everyday seasoning, okay? If I'd like to add more once it's cooked, then I can add it on top for flavour. Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to give it a nice stir. And this will change the colour of the meat as well, okay? This will change the colour of the meat as well. There we go. Brilliant. Excellent, okay? Now, to give us a little bit more flavouring, when you see the colour when you're stirring, you'll see sometimes once you're an experienced chef when you're in the kitchen, you'll see if you want to add more flavour without even trying it. So I'm going to put a little bit more flavouring in here. Okay? That's all I want to add, no more than that. At this point, my meat is cooking really well. Okay? It's not going to take too long to cook. Put the temperature down as it's sticking a tiny bit. And at this point, just to thicken the sauce when I put the tomatoes in, I am going to put some flour, plain flour. Just 1 generous tablespoon. If we need to add more, we can later, but it should be generally enough, okay? Now I'm going to give that a quick mix. The flour will be a thickening agent, okay? To make our sauce nice and thick when we're cooking. You can use that in many recipes as well, okay? Now, my tin of tomatoes, which I've opened, and I'm going to place it into my dish. Straight in there, straight in the sink. Give that a nice mix around. There we go. And I'm going to put my temperature down a little bit, okay? Now, when you place tomatoes into your food, sometimes the food can be a little bit acidic. So what we do is we add a small amount of sugar to break that flavour down, okay? Where I'm going to add that now. I've got half a teaspoon. So I'm going to add another to make it 1, okay? This won't make your dish sweet. It will just balance out your flavours, okay? Brilliant. Now this is coming along nicely, and now it's time to add the Worcestershire sauce. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, 10 drops of them. Give that a nice mix. And now time for my last ingredient, which is my tomato puree, okay? So I'm going to measure this before I put it in, because it'll be easier for you when you're making it. I have a tablespoon here, and I'm going to fill that tablespoon up to make it nice and rich, my dish, and I'm going to place that in there. And it's going to go straight here and straight in the sink. We are always putting everything straight into the sink, so we have less mess when it comes to cooking. When it comes to the end, and we're ready to tidy up, everything is where it's supposed to be. Now, my meat is nearly done, but I would like to cook my sauce a little bit more, okay? Because the ingredients need to cook as well. Now pasta, I'm going to check my pasta. My pasta is nearly done. Now what I would like to do now is take a little bit of the pasta water and place it in here for it to cook. So for this, I'm going to take a large spoon. I'm going to carefully hold my pasta over my dish, and I'm going to spoon it. I'm not going to pour it. I'm going to spoon about 6 tablespoons of the pasta water over, okay? And I'm going to pop it back there for it to cook. Being careful at every stage, okay? If it's easier, you can get a ladle and take the water out and then put it straight in here. Whichever one works best for you. Whichever is the safest way to do it, okay? Now, going to give it a good stir. Put it on a nice low heat as I want it to cook now, and I'm going to put a lid on it. The lid goes on, and we're going to let that cook. And this is going to cook for a few moments as well. The pasta actually is ready, so I'm going to take it over to the sink, taking my dishes out, putting my colander inside my sink, not here, okay, inside my sink, taking my pasta over here. Carefully, if you saw, I was holding it like this, okay, over my surfaces, making sure no one's around you when you work in teams. Give it a little swirl so all the pasta comes off the bottom. And there we go. Sometimes I like to retain a little bit of water just in case we need to use some more in our sauce, okay? Because we don't want it too dry. Alright, excellent. So we're going to leave that there to drain for a few moments. Okay, I'm going to give this a quick stir. And our mince is nearly ready, okay? When you are ready, you can either place your spaghetti in here or you can put the spaghetti separate on a plate with your mince on top. Whichever you prefer. You can add a dash of parmesan on there as well if you like. Yeah, that's your spaghetti bolognese. Thank you.